Hill correspondent Casey Hunter and that exclusive NBC reporting just in on the fourth Kavanaugh accuser. Casey, what's the story?
Chris, I want to underscore what's different about this than some of the previous allegations, but I also kind of want to give you the top line as well. The Senate Judiciary Committee, we have learned, is probing an additional allegation, this one anonymous, unlike the other three, and this one of physical assault. Came in the form of a letter sent to Senator Cory Gardner's office, and in it, a mother writes about an incident that she says involves her daughter, and everyone in this situation wanted to remain anonymous. But in the letter, it outlines how Brett Kavanaugh, this was in 1998, so considerably later than some of these other allegations we've been talking about, they were at a bar, this woman, and a few other witnesses, a few other friends, when they walked out of the Washington, D.C. bar. It's alleged that he slammed one of the women up against the wall in what was described as a sexual manner. And this letter writer says that it was a traumatic event for all involved, which is why they do not want to come forward into the public eye at this point. We do know that the committee asked Judge Kavanaugh about this allegation in the course of one of their calls this week. On Tuesday, the judge denied the allegation. My Democratic sources say, there were Democrats on the call, that they didn't think that the questioning went far or deep enough. They thought it was cursory. But this is information that has been circulating among Republicans on Capitol Hill and is becoming part of this story. So, Chris, to take a little bit of a step back from this one new incident, I think it does underscore the general mood among Republicans here on Capitol Hill. While you have this public-facing, full-speed-ahead push towards the hearing tomorrow, a committee vote on Friday, a full confirmation vote potentially as soon as Monday or Tuesday, I think you're starting to hear a few more whispers behind the scenes that there are some Republicans who think, you know what, maybe this is actually moving too fast. Maybe there is more information out there that could potentially be problematic for all of us if it comes out after we have gone through these processes. And I think that if we start to discover that these allegations that are coming out are potentially credible, if we do learn more information that backs them up, you could see some Republicans start to voice doubts about this nomination. And that's beyond the group that we keep talking about, Senators Collins, Murkowski, and Jeff Flake, and potentially Bob Corker, that group could potentially expand. And that's going to be especially true if there is a sense at some point in some way tomorrow that Judge Kavanaugh isn't telling the truth. Chris.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.